I'm Ashok Nichani here. I will be your host for today's webinar. A few housekeeping rules before we move ahead. All participants are requested to place their microphones on mute mode in order to avoid any noise disturbances during the session. You're welcome to post your questions in the chat box, and we will take up as many questions as possible towards the end of the session. Today's session will be led by Mr. Raghavendra Madhavan. He's a person who is very special to me. He happens to be the president of IIBA Chennai chapter, and more special to me because he is also my mentor. I've known Madhavan for over 4 years, and he is an individual who is very passionate about the profession of business analysis and very passionate about mentoring and coaching at IIBA's Chennai chapter. Madhavan heads as a product lead at FOE. He's based out of Chennai. He has over 20 years of experience in IT. He's a certified business analysis professional, CBAP from IIBA, and also an agile leader. Recently, Madhavan also graduated from IIM Kolkata in executive business management. Without more ado, I'll hand over the presentation rights to Madhavan. Madhavan, over to you. And I'm very eager to hear about emotional intelligence from your end. And I'm aware that you are very passionate about this topic, and I can't wait any longer. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Ashok. Good evening, everyone. Hope you are able to hear me okay.
Yes, Madhavan, all good.
Okay, right. So let me go ahead and share. I think I went on mute. I just wanted to check if presentation is visible.
No, your presentation hasn't.
Yeah, I unshared it because I think I went on mute by some reason. How about now?
Yes, I can see it.
Right. Okay. So in case of any audio disturbance or anything, Ashok, you could probably WhatsApp me because I'm also parallelly having the mobile.
Sure.
So that I'm aware of, yeah. And as a caveat, I'm also having the hotspot ready because in case of any audio issues, in case of any internet issues, I can connect back quickly. Right, okay. So today I just want to share my learnings and experience on this topic of emotional intelligence. 1 hour is actually too short, but what I will try to do is at least cover some of the basics as an introduction. And then based on the interest and feedback, we can deep dive if needed. So in terms of how I got into this, it's just about the interest. Over the last 5 to 7 years, I was very much interested into this topic. Did some research, learning, and also trying my best to practice. So it's not that I'm a master or anything. So basically, I'm trying to share what I have learned and practiced. Right. So let's start with the conversation. right? So two people are talking about two other people. This is a very common conversation. I think you all will be able to relate it very much, right? So if you look at what the person A says, for example, about Mr. X, this guy was very stressed in yesterday's meeting. It seems he took some of the review comments very personally and got a bit irritated, and he lost his calm and he stepped out of the call. That's what the first person says. So the second person responds, yes, that's right. But do you recall how the other person, right, Mr. Y, handled a similar situation last week? He was well prepared. He was listening to the other people's perspectives and sharing his views. He was calm and demonstrated empathy. So, what you could hear is two different views about two individuals. But the important thing to notice is the situation seems to be the same, right? Almost the same. So there could be some variations, but there is some trigger, and then it depends on how Mr. XX responded, how Mr. Y responded, right? So this kind of opens up the question: how is Mr. X different from Mr. Y? Are they anatomically different? Do they have different brain structures? Or is it because of the educational background? Or is it because of the job title? What is the key difference? Because the trigger seems to be similar, but there is a difference in response, right? So I would just like to keep this um, conversation in mind for the entire session, right? So before getting into the specifics, I would like to share because for anything, the understanding the why is so important, right? Before we jump into what and how, the why plays a key role. So let's look at a true incident that happened many years back, but that gave light to this whole topic of emotional intelligence, resilience, kind of things, right? Um, so the person in this picture, his name is Phineas. He was a foreman in the railway department. Two things you could notice, which is a bit significant. So one of his eye is damaged, and then he is holding a iron rod in his hand. So something about this individual. He worked as a foreman in the railway department, and he's kind of good in his job. So technically, he knows things. He knows about his work, does it well. At the same time, he also works well with the people. So both his capability as well as his way of uh, helping people, all those things, is liked by his co-workers, superiors, and all those things. Everything was going well, and on this particular day, September 13th, in a particular year, um, there was an accident while he was working. He was trying to lift a boulder, and by mistake, it struck on his um, left eye, and it damaged his the front portion of his bone, frontal portion of the head. So what you could see in this slide is the impact of injury. So basically, he was hit on the front side, damaging the eyes as well as the brain. And it seems is the skull and the original iron rod is still in display at the Warren Museum at Harvard Medical School, is what I could read. But the point here is he survived. So even though the injury was like too much, he was able to survive, and he came back to work after a few months. What people noticed when he came back, right? It's more of his post-injury behavioral change. Um, he was jumping into conclusions, and he's frequently getting irritated, and he's giving some kind of conflicting directions, right? So one day he says do this, other day he says do this. So people who were new had a totally different perception about him. And people who already worked with him saw a huge shift between what he was and what he is now. Right? So, are you all with me up till now? Just want to check I'm audible and people are there.
Yeah, Madhavan.
Right. Okay. Good. Okay. Fantastic. Right. So the next slide is very crucial. So what it tells us, right? So Dr. Harlow was the guy who treated him, and this picture shows we have two brains, or logically you see, right? It's not that you have two brains situated. It's not that way. So uh, the one here is called the limbic system or the limbic brain, where we feel. And then there is a rational brain over here in the front portion, right? So what happens for anyone? So even now, right, when you are all kind of listening to this, there is some background noise. Go on mute, please. Thank you. Yeah. So any stimulus enters the brain through the spinal cord, and first it reaches the limbic system, right? That's where our emotions are triggered, and then it has a little bit, pathway left to travel, and this is where we think emotionally. So what happens here is we get emotionally hijacked. So that's where the fear, the sadness, happiness, anger, whatever you call, right? All these things triggers. So a lack of handshake. I mean, a very simple way to explain emotional intelligence is a lack of handshake between the limbic system and the rational brain is what is emotional intelligence. Lack of emotional intelligence. So it's a very simple definition. So emotional intelligence requires effective communication between the rational and emotional centers of the brain. So otherwise, what happens is we get emotionally hijacked. Again, it's not that it is right or wrong. It's very situational, right? And let's say you are trekking into a forest, and you see a lion just opposite you, right? Your limbic brain is going to alert you, so it's good. So I'm not saying it is bad, but we need to think about the situation. So more in workplace, getting emotionally hijacked is wrong. But the other situation that I told, where you get lost in the dark forest, you were encountered by a lion, yes, you'll get fear, and it's more of a flight fight kind of a response, which is perfectly fine. So because there is a lot of myths around this, right? So people say no, you should not get emotionally hijacked. Emotional intelligence means always being nice. That's actually not the case. It's quite natural to feel hijacked, but the situation is very important, right? Okay. So what the why I told about is this is what happens to all of us. There is absolutely no difference between it's a male or a female, educated. Nothing. It's a standard thing. It happens to everyone. Right. Okay. So now, how do you size up a whole person, right? So we all heard about the IQ, the intelligent quotient, and then we all have our own personality. Like one could be an introvert, one could be an extrovert, or one could be an ambivert, combination of both. Um, these things evolve as we grow up, right? So the key point here is this is stable over a lifetime. You cannot say my IQ has changed. So IQ is kind of, everybody has a set of IQ, and then your personality. Maybe you'll try to change, but it's still right. You will be labeled as an introvert, or you will be labeled as an extrovert. That. So the best thing about you is it is learnable skill, right? So that's where there is a lot of focus on EQ, because one cannot say that, right, this is what my emotional intelligence at this point, and I'm going to stay like this forever. There's no need for it. So we put in efforts, there is a possibility to increase our EQ. So The whole point of this slide is to convey the message that EQ is learnable, and I mean it's not measurable. It's not like a sugar test or a cholesterol test where you go and measure. That's not possible. It only reflects with how you get mature, but it can be learned over a period of time. So what are the domains of this emotional intelligence, right? So I'm saying it's learnable, but how? So there are a couple of aspects here. There is a personal competence, there is a social competence. Okay, so in the personal competence, it's about what I see, right? It's about, am I self-aware or am I socially aware? So self-awareness here is nothing about, it's not about your weight, height kind of thing. It's more about, do I recognize my emotions? How well I am aware of my emotions? And social awareness is how well I am aware of the other people. So first is about getting the awareness. So then what I do with it, okay, I've become aware, then I have to manage it, right? So how could I self-manage? Then how could I develop a relationship with others, right? So the first step is always becoming aware of what we are. It's not about strength or weakness. It's more about what triggers. We'll see in detail about some of the strategies to understand. But this is the domain that Daniel Goleman has framed. He's kind of a guru in this space. And then he has formulated a set of strategies, how you could handle, how you could improve in each of these domains. Okay, right. So let's start with self-awareness strategies, right? Because this is the key one. The first thing is we have the habit of treating our feelings as good and bad, right? For example, if we feel guilty about something, then we decide it's bad. And if we feel happy about something, then we decide it's good. So the point here is we don't have to judge, because the emotions trying to convey something. There is a message inside each of the emotions. So if you judge, then there is a possibility that we may not be able to understand the underlying message. So if we quit treating your feelings as good and bad, it's just about feeling. So if I'm feeling guilty now, yes, that's it. So what is the message it is trying to convey? That's what this point is about. Observe the ripple effect of your emotions. So just imagine putting a stone in a pond. What happens, right? It creates a rippling effect. So that's what happens with our emotions also. One common example is, let's say in a team meeting, as a project lead or a project manager, you target one individual and say something bad about the work or culture, whatever it is. We may assume that it is one-on-one, but then it's going to have a ripple effect of the people sitting in that room. So they all will have some perception about the individual. It creates kind of a cascading effect. So even though we think it is one-to-one, unless it happens in a room as a one-on-one, if it happens in a social gathering, it's bound to have some ripple effect. Some background noise. Thank you. Feel your emotions physically. So I think we all would have recognized this, right? When before a presentation in the office or before any results get declared, you could sense, right, the heart rate is increased. You have a chill hands. It depends. Probably sometimes stiff muscles. It's kind of a butterfly-like feeling in the stomach. Every individual feels differently, but it's important to even notice that, just to understand, right? So here it's about a very simple example I read somewhere is it's like a gatekeeper, right? You see in some of the big apartments, there will be a guy standing. So he'll be just watching people going inside, watching people coming out. It's not going to do anything. So just watch. That's all about self-awareness. Know who and what pushes your buttons. Personally, I feel this is the most important thing, though I placed poor. So we all know when you get into a meeting and you have some idea, but then you know somebody is going to come and spoil it, right? So for whatever be the reason. So do we know that? So it's going to make you a bit irritated. So understanding our buttons is what makes us uh, irritated or feeling bad. It could be people, it could be a situation, or it could be sometime an environment. So somebody don't like to go in a crowded place. So that pushes their button. And some of the environment people don't like. It is too hot or whatever it is. So it's really good to understand, what really pushes our buttons. It's even more important to understand the source of that. Let's say an individual you identify. When I see this person entering into that WebEx, I feel a bit uncomfortable. But then the source is why. Is there not a good relationship? So that helps us to kind of go and rectify that. So the last one is don't be fooled by a bad mood or even a good mood. So moods are like very temporary. So we may feel bad now. In next 15 minutes, we may feel better. So don't be fooled in the sense like basically don't make any big decisions when we are in a bad mood. Right? So it's like whether it is business, a relationship, or like quitting a job, joining somewhere. It's 90% of the time it may end up in a wrong way. But why don't make decision in a good mood? It's same because it's also an emotion, right? So one thing I could relate with the good mood is a very funny incident. I don't know how many of you follow cricket. Um, there was an important match between India and Bangladesh where this Mushfiqur Rahman um, felt. In fact, he started celebrating when Bangladesh had even 2 or 3 runs more to get. So he somehow felt it's done. Right? He started celebrating, and then if you remember, Bangladesh went on to lose that match by 1 run. So that's where I normally relate about get carried away by a good mood and then don't finish the job, right? So these are some of the. I mean, I just picked top 5 in the interest of the time. There could be some more also how you manage, right? So I quickly summarize: don't treat your feelings, don't label them. Aware of the ripple effect, feel it physically, know what and who, when pushes your buttons, and don't get fooled by a specific instance. So once you are aware, then how should you manage it, right? So okay, I know now, but when breathe right, I think it's a very common thing. So instead of a shallow, short breath, taking a deep breath always helps to get more oxygen supply and feel better. Create an emotion versus reason list. So it's like you take a paper, you divide it into half.
బియ్యం 5 కేజీలు ఇచ్చింది. బియ్యం
That somebody is not unmute. Okay, thank you. So this is like you take a paper or a board, split that into two. On one side, you list down these are the emotions and rational thoughts on the other side. So when everything settles down, if you just look at it, probably right, you will choose what is on the right side. So it helps to differentiate. Take control of your self-talk. I think we all have that mind voice, right? So suggesting something always. So it's important not to allow the mind voice to be negative. I think it's very easy to say, but it's really hard to practice. But then it's more about avoiding some of the self-talks like I can't do it. It's going to be a failure kind of things. So instead, replace with something positive because that's going to drive the actions. Visualize yourself succeeding. So I heard an important uh, data in this. So it seems they took the brain MRIs of two groups of people. One group actually looking at the sunset. They are actually standing in an open place and they are looking at the sunset. And the other group was actually sitting in a room, closed room, but they were asked to visualize a sunset. Right? It seems that the areas of brain that got activated same for both the groups. So that's the power of visualization. So it's more like take this example, right? No, I tend to visualize, everything is going well, good internet connectivity, good audience, have a good session. That really helps to come with a positive intent rather than visualizing something wrong. So it's more like this is the best we can do. Have some backup plans, and if it still goes wrong, yeah, we really can't do anything about it. So stay synchronized is so sometimes we say something, but then the body language will reflect totally different. So synchronized here means like whatever our emotions convey, it should also be get reflected in our body language, because most of the time people get recognized by the body language. So another interesting data I came across was whenever we meet a new individual, right? We join a new office and you go and meet somebody. The first thing the person notice are our shoes. It's very unconscious bias, but that's what happens. Right? So that's why people say, right, the trust plays a major role. So it's important to take some care on the uh, uh, synchronized body language as well. Right. So we now have seen the strategies on the personal competence and move to the social competence. Um, Greet people by name. So this is a kind of a likability factor. Everybody like to be called by their name, so they like to hear the name. So instead of just saying hello, you can say hello, Ashok. That really makes a difference. Get into a room or just get into your stand-up meeting. It's really makes a difference to greet people by name. Practice the art of listening. I mean, again, it's a very difficult thing to do. It's not about hearing. Listening is more about trying to understand the other person's perspective. So the most fundamental thing is switch off your mobile. Let's say you are having a one-on-one. Sometimes we get distracted by emails, so that kind of sends the message that this person is not listening. So better to keep all the gadgets away and then spend some time. That will increase the social awareness. Understand the rules of the culture game. I mean, this is very fundamental and important, because we all operate in a global business situations, right? So where we interact with multiple stakeholders coming from multiple cultures. Sometimes in one meeting, you could have people from US, people from UK, and people from China and other countries. So what's their culture? In case if we host, so what type of response triggers whom? It's important to understand. I think there is tools like Global Smart and all those things which will help us to understand our awareness about the various cultures. Step into their shoes. The other way to call this is more like empathy, right? So understanding from their perspectives. I think most of the actors used to tell this, right? To do this role, I kind of lived as a character, so that I was able to easily, instead of trying to act. So if I have to play a role of a boxer, then I just lived as a character, so I was able to do much better. So stepping into the other shoes is important. Catch the mood of the room kind of relates to a few other points. So when you enter in, so I mean, self-awareness is more about how we feel when we enter into a big boardroom with like 125 people. But this is more about what's the mood of the room itself, right? So is this the people talking to each other, or what's exactly happening in that place? And especially if we are going to host something or have a key presentation, notice the body language and notice who comes and greets you. Just becoming aware of uh, the social environment lying over there. Yeah. So that's about the strategies on the social awareness. And how could you maintain a relationship? Right? So be open and curious. So being open and curious is more about being open to the feedback. Right? So willingness to learn. There are different perspectives. Let's say it's just a small team of 10 members, and if we are like open to each other, hear the perspectives, the relationship builds rather than kind of ignoring. So we normally say, right, brainstorming as a rule. I think we all have done that, right? When we do brainstorming, don't classify it's a bad idea or a good idea, right? It's just a list. So take everything and then try to form a theme. Probably some of the things will go off. Yeah. So then staying curious about what's happening. Yeah, it's kind of I mentioned already. So take the feedback well, because feedback is a very unique thing in my perspective. It really helps to improve ourselves. Because it's all about, as Agile says, right? It's all about continuous improvement. So shortening the feedback loop is very important, because if you look at the difference between, I mean, I'm just going to IT a little bit. Sorry about it, but why we rate Agile better than Waterfall? It's not about the ceremonies, right? The main thing that Agile has done to us is it has shortened the feedback loop. Waterfall, we started something. We start this June, and then we seek the feedback next year. Things would have changed, but now with Agile, we are now shorting down the loops. Even every day we take feedback. So the product owner is with us. We even take every day. So taking that feedback well is very important. It automatically builds trust. So when the first 2 points relates to trust. And ultimately, I strongly believe everything is driven by the trust. Especially take the current situation of pandemic, where we don't even meet our team. So we are all working from home. It's basically the trust that drives. We still have to run the business and meet our deliverables. But trust is such an important thing that drives people to go their job, because I may actually skip 1 or 2 stand-ups because of other commitments, but still trust the team to do the job. So when you care, show it. So it's really important how the relationship builds. Again, I take the same example. It's probably like when you get into a meeting, the first thing is to do some kind of a check-in, right? So how people are, how the family is doing in this situation, because everyone will be going through different kind of challenges. It's working women has a significant amount of challenge. It's my perspective, what I see in my own. So it's better to do a check-in at the beginning, and then have some informal check-in timings, just to understand how things are going. The last.
Madhavan, sorry to interrupt you. I'm not able to view the slides.
Sorry?
I'm not able to view your slide.
Oh, okay. Let me check. Is that happened just now, or?
Yes, just a couple of minutes.
Oh, let me check. Yeah. So about now?
Yes, it's back. It's back now. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So the last one is on the tackle tough conversations. So this helps to build relationships. So even though it says it's a tough conversation, so there are few things I practiced or I learned is, so it's better to start with an agreement. So it looks funny, but at least let's say 2 people are having a tough conversation. Better to agree it's going to be a tough conversation. At least we start with that. Not hiding anything, right? It's going to be a crucial conversation. It's going to be a tough conversation. And then ask the person to help you understand their side of it. It's more relates to the active listening. And the third thing is, it's very natural that we always prepare to come back with a response. Right? So when we listen to somebody, we'll be preparing the response also. But then, unfortunately, the brain doesn't work that way. So either you have to listen or you have to. So it's better like don't prepare for the response before you listen to everyone. So that's the research to come back, and then it's express our side of the perspective as well. So you heard it initially, and then you express, and then keep the conversation moving. So sometimes it comes to a halt, right? We don't proceed, but then it's good to keep the conversation moving and keep in touch. So those are the 5 steps, I would say, right? So first get an agreement. This is what we are going to speak, and then try to understand the person's perspective. Don't try to respond back, and then keep the conversation moving, right? So so this kind of covers the top 5 strategies that I picked up in each of the competencies. Maybe I will pause here. There are any comments or anything before I proceed further?
How do we practically imbibe all of them in our daily lives? I still have, because it's a change of one's entire way of life. So are there any tricks and tips to imbibe them in our daily lives?
Yeah, it's a good question. Again, my honest answer is it's not easy. So it's again, it's first thing is becoming self-aware, right? So what are the things that we need to change? Sometimes even we don't know that. So once we know that, then it becomes a lot easier to put an action plan. So maybe if you see, we are already good at feedback. Fine, we don't have to do that. So what exactly is the problem, right? So what is causing the problem? So if that self-awareness comes in. That's why, right? The self-awareness is at the beginning. So it's not a list of laundry list of items, right? 50 items. No, then it's going to be difficult. So what are the top 3 that we are going to pick up in this month? So that's one way I approach this, right? So let's take July. So what are the top three items I'm going to pick up, which is most bothering me? It's again like it's about prioritization. So 10 things are there. This is the most impactful. I'll pick the 3. It's kind of narrowing down your work. That helps. Right. Anything else? Okay. So this one, this is purely my personal experience, which I heard in many places. Then I tried out. Is there any problem with no problems? Okay. So what I mean is, so you offered some help to a person. Sorry, somebody is not on mute.
Can you please put your microphone on mute? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Right.
Okay.
I mean, see,
Madhavan, you again missed on your slide. Your slide is.
We
okay.
couldn't see the slide.
Yeah, let me fix it. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Back?
Yes, it's back. Please proceed.
Thank you. Yeah, so you offered some help to a person, right? And he says thank you. What is our response? I mean, it's nothing right or wrong. Maybe some of you, if you like to answer, please do it. So, what's your standard answer when somebody says thank you? Okay, it's fine. So, anybody agrees that we used to tell no problem when somebody says thank you? Is it a common practice? Right. Okay. So what are the other responses that we hear, right, for a thank you? Some people used to tell you are welcome, right? You have heard that, and some people used to tell my pleasure. right? So these are the standard responses that what we see for a thank you, right? So how it really matters. Again, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but it has a specific impact. Let's take the first case, right? Let's take me and Ashok, for example. So Ashok says thank you to me, right? So now I'm going to say no problem, Ashok. So how Ashok probably takes this is it's not a big deal for me. So what I'm trying to convey, Ashok, it's a simple thing. Okay, you didn't created me any problem. It's okay. That's all I'm saying. And then the next one is you are welcome. So I'm saying Ashok, you are welcome. Okay, slightly better, but still what I'm saying is, yeah, probably if you have any other request, let me know. I'll do. It's a kind, right? I'm not really saying how I felt when helping Ashok. The third response is my pleasure, Ashok. So it clearly has a difference, right? So I did something, Ashok, and now I'm saying it's not like nothing. It's my pleasure, right? So it's a huge difference. So I did practice this. So earlier I used to tell no problem. When I started using this my pleasure, I could see some good kind of vibes developing. It's like a good relationship building, and it also conveys, I mean, you don't have to fake it. I'm saying, right? So if it is you really didn't feel pressure, that's fine. But sometimes, right, we feel really happy to help others. It's better to that's where the emotional intelligence comes. So sometimes we feel really pleasure in helping, but then we don't convey. So we will stop with no problem, giving an indication to the person that no, he's not valuable. So it's better to tell what exactly it feels. My pleasure always has a value ahead of others. Okay, so basically that's what I plan to share. So then I had some resources that I can share with you. So maybe happy to take any comments or questions or anything else. Anything on the chat that we need to see, Ashok?
Questions right now, Madhavan?
Oh, nothing, right? Okay. Okay, so then I just want to introduce you to some resources in case if you want to learn more about it. So the Daniel Goleman is kind of a guru, right? So he basically had this framework, the domains. So he talks about a couple of things. First on the anatomical aspect, and then the reality of how we handle it in the workplace as well as in the within the family, right? So the next one is this is from a company called Talent Smart, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It also has a assessment that we can assess ourselves, right, with a list of questions, how good we are in each, and then form an action plan. So this is okay. I did went through, and I think you might have heard "I Am Okay, You Are Okay." It's a very old book. It's a classic. It follows the Sigmund Freud's principle. It digs very deep. It's kind of a psychoanalysis kind of approach it takes. Dig deep, and it basically presents life stages, right? So here, you doesn't mean one person. You is the world. So here, 4 life positions, right? I am okay, you are okay is the ideal thing, and sometimes it is like I am okay, you are not okay, or I am not okay, you are okay. So the other, or it could be like I am not okay, you are not okay. So ideal situation is to be, I am okay, you are okay is the ideal situation to be. So that's what this conveys. And this one was a classic, so especially my recommendation would be for the parents, because this tells you how we prepare for a failure, right? So we keep pushing our kids always like get 100%, get 90%, get first rank. But then what happens when the failure comes? Right? How the person is going to cope up? So it's more about the fixed mindset, right? Growth mindset and fixed mindset. So Carol talks about the fixed mindset is the child assumes that I'm good only if I get 90%. but the growth mindset is right. I mean, I didn't get now, but there is an opportunity to learn and get better. Right? So that's a fundamental difference. And then we can also learn a lot from movies. 12 Angry Men is a fantastic way to learn because it's just a short film. I mean, maybe you would have seen it, but just to quickly give a summary, like a teenager gets accused of a murdering his father, and then the 12 guys group in a rainy day, and they want to quickly come to a conclusion that he's the accused or the culprit. 11 guys vote against. 11 guys say yes, he's the culprit, but then one guy says no. That's where it begins, and over a period of movie, it tells a lot of things what we covered, right? So how to be calm, how to put your views, and also it shows the people who are not doing that. So one of the character in this movie will be like very agitated, and then finally he regrets what he has done. So excellent movie to understand. Then I also have a couple of links that in terms of any references or anything needed. Right. So that's basically what I planned. Also, I just want to touch upon so what are our upcoming sessions that we are planning. So Ashok, who is in the call, is our first BA to complete the Agile Analysis certification in this group. I think we have very less people done that. So we wanted to organize one overview session run by Ashok, probably end of this month or next month, and then try to see if there is interest coming on the study group. The key thing is right here in terms of participants, it need not be a BA. Right? It could be a product manager or scrum master, because one thing what personally I'm observing in IT is business analysis as a role is as a competency is still important, but then the designation as a business analyst is taking different flavors, right? It's just a product manager, product owner kind of thing. So having an agile is more of a broader perspective. And then Deepa, who is also on the call, is our the first member to complete the cybersecurity certification, which is also very crucial because as the business kind of expand with a lot of threats looming around, it's really important to have that aspect. So then this was the session that unfortunately we were not able to get to last time. Again, apologies for that. We had some technical difficulties. So we'll have that session run by Prabha. So these are our kind of immediate plans. So we'll reach out to you early. And meanwhile, you can also share the feedback in case what kind of topics, because webinars are different from study groups, right? Like what we had today, and RP, is there any other topic or any other, thinking about some external speakers, all those things. Basically, want to expand the knowledge to the group, right? So that's the plan. So I really thank everyone for spending the time. It's late in the evening with a lot of, it's kind of a midweek, spending 1 hour on this topic. Really thankful on behalf of the chapter. And stay safe. It's really important to take care of health during the situation. Stay safe and take care. Thank you. Or to you, Ashok or Swami, if you want any closing comments.
Yes, thanks, Madhavan. Thanks for sharing your insights on this interesting topic of emotional intelligence. And also thanks for giving us a heads up on the upcoming sessions to be presented to all of you from IIBA's Chennai chapter. Thanks to all our dear participants for taking time out and joining us in this evening's session. We look forward to bring you many more sessions in the near future, and do stay tuned for updates from us in this regard. And yes, of course, please do stay safe and stay at home as much as possible. And we'll catch up soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and also please do share your feedback, because that's very important. Right? So share the feedback of the sessions that we conduct, which will help us to improve. So any aspects, we are happy to take it.
Great, Madhavan. I'm Swami here, and it's a fantastic start from IIBA Chennai chapter. And I think Ashok, it is not only over, either it is any track like AAC or cybersecurity, I mean, we are thinking of making it a kind of a study group across India. Hope both Shubha and Ashok will lead this, and we will have it like in, I mean, the study group like CBAB or IABA major certification. We also have this micro certification study group. I hope, once this overview session is over, and mostly we don't want to duplicate the same session with some other chapters. So we try to have in a way that, people almost it will go, all the session reach all the audience across India, whoever is in the part of the community, and there will be a specialization everywhere. So, I mean, next session by IABA Hyderabad chapter will be something like visual thinking. And I mean, this is the chapter like this, something new we are trying it out. Hope everyone will support. And it was the best way to start, Madhavan, and that IABA Chennai chapter team. It's a fantastic way to start. And let us, I mean, keep continuing this, and the momentum starts in Chennai chapter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swami. Thanks for your support as well. Thank you. Yeah. See you all. Bye.
Thank you, Madhavan. It was an amazing session. Loved it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madhavan.
Thanks. Thanks all. Bye.
Thank you,
bye.
Madhavan sir.
Yeah. Take care.